G20 nations make up around 60% of the world's population. Together, they are responsible for around 80% of global economic output and 75% of all global exports. The group was founded in 1999 in the wake of the Asian financial crisis. The initial goal was to bring together finance ministers and central bank leaders from top industrialized and developing countries to respond to this and other issues facing the global economy. After the 2008 financial crisis, the G20 evolved into a yearly gathering between member heads of state. One of the G20's biggest successes was its swift response to the 2008 global financial crisis. To get the world's economy back in motion, member nations agreed to spending measures worth $4 trillion, removed trade barriers, and implemented major reforms to the global financial system. The summit's chair rotates annually, with a country selected from a different region of the world every year. India will host the 2023 summit in New Delhi this September. Brazil will host the 2024 summit. The goal of each summit is for all participating countries to issue a joint statement committing their members to action, though the declaration is not legally binding. In the lead up to this year's summit, India will have held more than 200 G20-related meetings in over 50 cities. One of India's biggest priorities for this year's summit will be addressing the needs of the global south on everything from economic recovery to climate justice and access to COVID-19 vaccines. But even if India wants to keep the focus on development, that may be overshadowed by Russia's war against Ukraine. While India's foreign minister insists he wants to keep the G20 and Russia's war against Ukraine separate, the conflict has already dominated multiple G20 meetings this year. Western nations have implemented a wave of sanctions against Russia and more financial support for Ukraine, while developing countries like India have been reticent to express criticism. Some of the most interesting politics at the G20 summits take place on the sidelines. Take the 2017 summit in Hamburg, Germany, where former President Donald Trump met Russian President Vladimir Putin for the first time, holding multiple meetings that lasted several hours each. The 2022 summit marked the first in-person meeting between President Joe Biden and Xi Jinping, leader of the Chinese Communist Party.